Shalom, I'm Dr. Deanna Dye with Foundations in Torah. So what exactly does it mean to be born again? I think the answer we'll find is in John chapter 3. Unless a man is born again, he cannot see the kingdom of heaven. Unless he's born of water and the Spirit, he cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. You must be born again. Words I think many of us are familiar with, but did you know that the festival of the born again is actually a festival celebrated by Israel? And so the festival of the new moon and the festival of the born again are exactly the same thing. This concept of born again is a picture of Israel. As her spiritual condition waxes and wanes through the month, it's patterned after the moon. So the cycle of the moon every month relates to this concept of being born again. And so we have a picture as well as the bride and the groom, the bride being the moon, Israel, the groom being the sun, the Heavenly Father. And all of this in connection with redemption, because the festival of the born again, the festival of the new moon, has something to do with redemption. It's actually a mini Yom Kippur, if you will, a mini Day of Atonement. Rosh, of course, means head. The Chodesh is talking about the head of the month, really, and that's the renewal here. Now, each month we go through this process, and it's based on the moon, and it's connected to the redemption. Another name for the festival of the born again in Hebrew is the Malad, which comes from Yalad, which means to be born. So the moon itself is reborn each month. And so the festival of the born again, the festival of the new moon, is really a rehearsal for the redemption. And it's that we enter into this concept of the new moon like newborn infants. And part of the process of the celebration of the festival of the born again is to go down into a mikvah or into an immersion bath and come out into a different spiritual state. So speaking of the water and the Spirit, we are in a different spiritual status when we come out of the immersion bath or when we are born again. Of course, the moon follows a prescribed path each night, and one of the names for the moon is Yireach, which sounds like Rach, which sounds like Ruach. So Ruach we know is the Spirit, which goes through a prescribed path. The moon follows a prescribed path each night from horizon to horizon. So in the same way, the Ruach, the Spirit, follows that same path. We get another word from that, Rachel, Rachel, and she's actually a picture of the moon in Joseph's dream. Again, the Shekinah that will return at the time of the redemption is also related to that, Ruach, Rach, Shekinah. Now let's, as I said, the Ruach HaKodesh, the new moon is a mini Yom Kippur, a festival related to the moon, and you know that all festivals were based on the sighting of the moon. The concept of atonement was added to this ceremony during the temple times, and they even brought out a goat as a sin offering, kind of a picture of the two goats that are slain at Yom Kippur. So again, the new moon is a ceremony in relationship to the sun. Israel is the bride or the moon. The Messiah could be a picture of the sun. And all these elements that are connected to Rosh Chodesh, speaking of the immersion in the water and the immersion in the Spirit, and a festival dedicated to women. And the Israel, or the woman that it's speaking of, was to be without spot or wrinkle. That's how Israel was supposed to be. And it was a celebration, just like a marriage, celebrating with great joy. From Sanhedrin 42a, it tells us that the new moon was a time of the advent of the Messiah. It was a time associated with the moon's renewal each month, with the renewal of Israel. And it was customary to go to a prophet at the new moon to seek out instruction. So in John chapter 3, we have Nicodemus, Nectamon, going to Yeshua, seeking out the prophet. And Nectamon's name actually means a spotted, blemished sheep, kind of interesting. So he came to Yeshua at night, the time of the new moon. And of course, we know Nectamon was a religious Jew, part of the leadership and a member of the Sanhedrin. And it tells us finally that one who recites the benediction of the moon at the proper time is like one who has received in audience by the Shekinah, by the indwelling presence of God. So all of this is pictured in John chapter 3. Thank you. Shalom.